Time to take a look at the papers this morning, the front pages, so that we give you a heads up on the stories making the rounds. And we start with the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today, Thursday, May 16, 2024. From the top, 8 die, 20 injured as man burns Kano Mosque over inheritance tussle. So some of the gory pictures yesterday, and it's quite disturbing. The details available on page 3. Rivers crisis. More drama unfolds as 5 pro-Wike commissioners quit Fubara's cabinet. And I can tell you that Rivers State is bound to be in the news up until 2027, and I dare say even after 2027. It's one of those states that always has something to offer. And I'm afraid, politically speaking, it's not a positive thing to offer. I mean, we've seen that unfold from 2014 to date. River State is always in the news. More on that on page 11. And with regards to the 2024 Hajj, pilgrims cautioned against traveling with contraband as Nigeria begins airlifting pilgrims. The big one is talking about the offer and the rejection. Labour rejects federal government's 48,000 naira minimum wage offer. Gives Tinubu 2-week ultimatum. Government remains mum. Shouting match at tripartite committee meeting. So you can imagine why that rejection is the perfect word for it. The story continues on page 4, so you can read the thoughts, the positions of the organized labor with regards to this new offer. By the way, somewhere in there is the private sector's offer of 54,000 naira. In other news, gas supply gets 25% boost as Tinubu unveils 3 projects. Elsewhere, Yobe goes spiritual against electricity vandals, slaughters cow. Yeah, saw that video. Listen, I think there's always a need for us to contextualize it. Nothing is impossible for God to fix. We know that for a fact. But when you talk about vandalism, I mean, I think God has empowered us enough to be able to take care of these basic issues, isn't it? We'll be vigilant and do the needful. Share information with authorities. The authorities need to do the needful in terms of deployment, in terms of tracking some of these vandals, because they vandalize it and sometimes they sell it, except for terrorist acts where they're just trying to destroy the system. So, yeah, there's that. And below that picture of the president of the United Arab Emirates in a handshake with the chairman, or rather, in a handshake with the group chairman of the United Bank of Africa and founder Tony Elumelu Foundation, Mr. Tony Elumelu. There, below that picture, you can see this story about Nigeria's new inflation figures. Food crisis worsens as inflation hits 33.69%. That's it on the front page of the Daily Trust for today. Follow it up if you want to do some further reading. Grab a copy or visit their website. Blueprint is up next. 1,266 FCT Kebbi Nasara pilgrims arrive Saudi Arabia. Sultan commends Tinubu. Okay. That appears to be the big story on the front page of the Blueprint. But at the top of the nameplate, local government councils dead in Nigeria, according to the Nigerian Senate. More on their thoughts on the pages of the Blueprint. Rivers crisis. 5 Wike commissioners quit Fubara's cabinet. You also have that story about the Labour rejecting the 48,000 naira minimum wage offer from the federal government. The Nigerian Tribune is up next, so let's take a look at the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. From the top, reps move to probe breakdown of presidential air fleet. Yeah, interestingly, I saw one of the members of the House of Representatives yesterday talking about how perhaps the president needs to consider traveling by road or flying commercial. Now that would definitely make the news pop. But yes, this is a story you can also follow up on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Ondo APC internal crisis deepens as Ward EXCO suspends Senator Jimo Ibrahim. Parallel EXCO passes vote of confidence in Senator. Nigeria's inflation rate soars to 33.69% in the month of April, according to latest data released by the Bureau of Statistics. And the big story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune says, Senate in fresh move to secure autonomy for local governments, may remove conduct of local government elections from the hands of the state independent electoral commissions. Seeks stoppage of allocation to local governments with caretaker committees, and more on that on page 3. 5 more pro-Wike, why do I keep saying pro-Fubara? Pro-Wike commissioners quit Fubara's government. More on that Rivers drama on page 4. Macron appoints AIG Imukode as president of France-Nigeria Business Council. Kuka meets President Tinubu, says Nigerians at various levels of pain. Tinubu's government subsidized cost of 2024 Hajj with 90 billion, according to Vice President Kashim Shettima. I don't know why we're doing that. And there's that on the latest on the labor and minimum wage. Daily Times is up next, so let's take a look at the front page of the Daily Times. Senate approves Tinubu's $500 million loan request. See, they just keep giving us rope to tie ourselves, don't they? 5 Rivers commissioners bow out of Fubara's cabinet. You see, I like this caption better. At least there's no pro in it. MFLA denies alleged unlawful Naira redesign charge. So this is one of the latest charges that the former embattled CBN governor is dealing with. The latest figures on the Nigerian inflation for the month of April is out, and you can find the details also on the pages of the Daily Times. NLC, TUC pull out of minimum wage negotiations, reject a 48,000 Naira offer. Don't fiddle with Nigeria's pension funds asset. Atiku wants Tinubu said it is a breach of the Pension Reform Act. And that is definitely something that's got a lot of people talking about where this is coming from and what it will likely do to the pension funds of millions of Nigerians. And you can also have the latest on the House of Representatives said to investigate the worthiness of all aircraft in the presidential fleet. I think there's been a couple of situations where the planes have been grounded because of one technical issue or the other. Remember, we have to make sure that the planes are safe, regardless of how expensive they are to run and to operate, so that we can guarantee the safety of our president, our vice president, and all the other VIPs that are using those fleets for their various air travels. So that is indeed important to do. Well, at this point, we'd like to sum it up. Malam Nasir Lawan unavoidably is not here today to analyze some of the stories for you. So there you have it. Do some further reading by grabbing any of the national dailies today so you can understand best what the headlines are trying to say as a story. That's our show for you today. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free to be a part of it tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you live and exclusive at 8 a.m. only on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us this morning. Stand by. Adeni Ajishafe will be joining you shortly at the top of the hour for the latest dose of sports update with 360 Sports. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us yet again.